is recently kind of in the news or in the circle of things in the fishing community. More so, I guess, with the catfishing community, I guess you would say. Sort of a well-known fisherman kind of got sick. Something happened. I don't know. I don't follow the guy or the catfishing that much. He's been around for a while, and something happened. I forget exactly the circumstances, which is not really the point. But one thing I noticed is suddenly a channel or two had kind of covered the topic, but also covered the health aspect of fishermen, and that I think this person that did the video was they were trying to get their own health in order a little bit with weight control and such as that. So it is. I thought, well, I'll jump on that topic a little bit because it is something I know a little bit about, and that is the idea that fishermen are sort of in a bit of danger because of really their lifestyle. A lot of guys. And the results of that. It's like some lifestyle, some job, some things you do in life are going to put you at a greater risk for health consequences. They say one of the unhealthiest jobs you can have is truck driving. You're out on the road all the time. It's difficult to find good, healthy, nutritious food, so you resort to eating a lot of processed foods, snack foods, things you can get quickly, easily, and eat on the road. And those foods, unfortunately, lead to conditions later on in life that can be very harmful to the individual. Obviously, overweight, obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, the whole list. The whole list goes on and on. So as we get older, we get more and more overweight, we eat more and more processed foods, we're eating less and less nutritious food, our condition starts to get worse, and there's a reason for that, is because the body has to have a certain amount of nutrition. You got to have nutrients, you got to have vitamins, you got to have minerals. So if the bulk of your calories are coming from processed foods and you're actually overeating and eating more calories than you need, the body's working hard, because it's hard to store fat. The body has to work really hard to store that fat. So what happens is you need more vitamins and minerals, but you're just giving your body more nutritionless type foods. You're getting plenty of calories, but you're getting none of the essential vitamins and or at least not enough of the essential vitamins and minerals and nutrients that you need to be healthy. So it's two things going on. Just the fact that you're overweight, it can be an unhealthy thing, and then if you're nutritionally incomplete is an unhealthy thing. And so it's like the body just can't keep up. It can't do these things. It's not made to do these things. It's made to have vitamins. It's made to have nutrients. It's not made to be overweight. God didn't make our bodies in a way that we are all supposed to go around being overweight. We're supposed to go out and work for our food and find our food and come back home and prepare our food and eat our food. And that's the way man evolved for hundreds of thousands of years. That's the way God made us. If you go back and you look at man in history, the man that God made, there was not obesity like it is now. So we've put ourselves in an unnatural condition. You run that risk of getting sick. You get older, diseases start to creep up on you. You wind up spending a lot of your time having to run back and forth to a doctor, having doctor's visits. And the ironic thing is, and I see this all the time, when it's like, oh man, I just can't believe people they don't understand this, they can't see it. And that's why I'm making this video, because I truly believe people don't see this, and that is, it's the addiction of the food and how powerful it is, and it's just no different than any other kind of addiction, whether it be nicotine or alcohol or drug addictions of all kinds. It's absolutely no different. So when you're in that addiction, it's really hard to see exactly what's going on. And, a particular scenario is you wind up having to go back and forth to the doctor. You got all these medications you have to take. So this week you got to see this doctor. This doctor wants you to see this specialist. This specialist wants you to be on this medication. So as that medication runs out, you got to go back and see that specialist again to refill the medication. The other doctor wants you to be on a medication. Now you got another problem. Maybe you got diabetes and you got gout over here. So you got your gout doctor, you got your diabetes doctor. Well, you got a heart problem too. Oh, you got a heart doctor. So you got this doctor, this doctor, this doctor. And before you know it, you're spending 3 or 4 days a week having to go back and forth to the doctor. And then if you have a spouse, a wife, and she's sick, then you might spend every day going back and forth to the doctor between doctor's visits for the two of you. And the ironic thing is, and the point I wanted to make is, and then people, what's the one thing that I see people do once they leave their doctor's visit? Is they go out and they eat those foods that are making them sick. And so that tells you right there, they don't see it. They don't understand that these foods are actually potentially a strong root cause of what's making them sick. The processed foods in particular are a big thing, and that's sort of what the topic is today, because fishermen are at risk simply because the whole lifestyle of a fisherman that fishes a lot. You get up early in the morning, you want to hit the road, so you stop at a fast food place and you get yourself a sausage and a biscuit and some fried potato something or another and some gravy and maybe even some little sweet, and maybe you get an extra sausage and biscuits to eat later on, and maybe a sweet drink of some kind. So you wake up and you engage and engorge on these huge amounts of calories, saturated vegetable oils that are known now, that are coming to light, that there's problems with these vegetable oils. And so it's an unhealthy thing. You eat that for breakfast, you might say, oh, well, lunch is coming around, I'm hungry. And you go and back to the fast food somewhere real quick, maybe into the little corner store to get a drink and some chips and another little snack or two, and call that a lunch or call it a snack or whatever. So there again, you're getting more ultra-processed foods with less nutrition. And those foods are also known to be addictive. They are made to be addictive. Food manufacturers want you to buy their food. They're in competition with each other. Each manufacturer wants his or her foods to be the best tasting, the best looking, the best packaged. They even want them to sound perfect. Snap, crackle, and pop is one of the foods that, the sound is actually used to stimulate people to want to consume that product. So once you're hooked on these foods, like any other addiction, if you were hooked on alcohol and you became an alcoholic, you would have a hard time struggling not to want to get that alcohol. If you have a drug addiction of some type and you are physically addicted to that drug, we know that you would struggle, you would want that drug. If you couldn't get it, you would have problems. So food is the same way. It's as strong an addiction as anything, but it's made to look like a harmless addiction, okay? And it's actually, in my mind, the way it's portrayed is it's made to look like the person who's overweight, it's their fault. In other words, it's their fault because they don't have control. But see, that's the first thing you have to realize, is that it's not your fault. You've basically been snookered, and you've been snookered into consuming products that are designed to become addictive so that you cannot eat just a small amount. You want to eat more, and you are at mercy of these foods, maybe for the rest of your life. Some people, from as early as their first birthday until the day they die, they will consume these foods, not realizing that they are actually not able to not consume them, that they are a slave to these foods, which also, after a period of time, you become a slave to the medical industry. You're a slave to the food. which puts you as a slave to the medical industry. They tell you when to come in, they tell you how often to come in, they tell you exactly what medications to take. They are in control of you. You are not in control of your life at that point. Now, you think you're okay because you can get your drug at any time, and an addict that can get his drug is going to be happy. So as long as you can go to the grocery store and you can fill your grocery cart up with those favorite foods that are making you sick, or you can stop at your favorite fast food place, maybe your favorite restaurant, wherever, if they serve those foods that are contributing to your ill health, then that's just your addiction, and you can be happy about it and live your whole life like that, and that's up to the individual. But I think most people who are overweight at a point to where it affects their life, where if you're a fisherman, for instance, and you can't get down on the rocks, you can't get down, you can't get up, you're worried about crossing this creek because you're going to fall into the creek, you have no balance, you're worried your feet are going to slip out from under you because you got all that weight, you're going to fall down, something's going to break, something's going to hurt. So you have to limit where you can go, when you can go, and how you can do it. So see, you're a slave, you're a slave to your weight. But why are you a slave to your weight? Is because you are a slave to the food industry, right? And the food industry is making you a slave to the medical industry as a byproduct of that, and that's taking even more time away from your potential to go out and fish, to enjoy the beautiful nature that we have in front of us, which that's what we all want to do. And so that's why I think it is so important for fishermen to realize that if you're not careful, particularly younger in life, when you're a young person, you got strong, your stamina, you can eat that food and it doesn't seem to affect you as much. But trust me, it's creeping up on you. And I've seen creators out there doing YouTube channels that have started off their channel 10 years ago, 8 or 10 years ago, looking nice and trim and healthy, and now they're starting to look pretty ragged. They're putting on the weight, they're looking run down, and what are they doing for food? They're stopping and they're getting the snacks, they're getting the soda pops, they're getting the